The popular flea collar, Seresto, has been linked to tens of thousands of pet injuries, including the deaths, 2,000 deaths of pets from this. You know, just because we're talking about pets, this is an important story, okay? You got people like our home, where our pets are kind of part of the family.
Right.
Talk about this. It's infuriating story.
This truly is another story of pure EPA corruption. Starting back in 2015, when Seresto was originally manufactured by Bayer, I think about a year ago it moved over to Elanco Medical Health for Pets. But anyway, 2015, the EPA starts getting all these reports from people. I had a Seresto flea collar on my pet. They've now got this skin condition. They're shaking uncontrollably. They're having seizures. They're vomiting, and they're dying. And so all the way back then, starting 6 years ago, the EPA was flooded with these reports. And so they said, okay, well, we will look into this. So they dragged their feet. They're slowly looking into Seresto. At the same time, though, you had the Canadian Health Organization saying, Bayer, we've looked at all the adverse event reports that you provided us.
And Bayer, and our own government, tries to influence the Canadian government, don't they?
Right. Canada says you can't sell Seresto here, and the U.S. EPA calls up Canada, their health agency, and says, oh, could you give them a break? Would you please allow Seresto to be sold in Canada? We know that their own materials that you've seen and we've seen says it's killing pets, but just go ahead and cut them some slack.
They're saying the same thing that the pharmaceutical industry says when they kill people. No, it's not our drug, it's something else. Here's what they know. They own the media. The media is not going to do a story on this. I mean, you're going to see very few stories about this. The media won't do it because of advertisers. They advertise on ABC.
Seresto is all over the place.
It's all over the place. Okay, so they know that they've paid their science prostitutes. They've gone to universities, regulatory agencies, hired people who are nothing but prostitutes and will say anything for the right of the money. They've got that. They own the regulatory because they make deals with regulators. Hey, Joe, if you will work with us on this, when we get done, we're going to get you a job and we're going to pay 10 times what you're making right now. And, of course, they own Congress because all they have to do is spread around money. We've seen this case time and time again. We saw it with Yaz. Remember with Bayer, that case I tried down in Texas? My God, we see it all the time. And right now we have an EPA that they're just out of control. They're not incompetent, they're corrupt.
Yeah.
They're borderline criminals. And I hope, like I say, I hope they sue me because I want to take the depositions. I want to have some of those people across the table telling me, now, why did you give this company a break? How did that work?
Well, and in this specific case, too, with Seresto, and again, the documents that were obtained by USA Today, this is truly an evil, evil story here between Bayer and the US EPA, and I hope people don't dismiss it just because, oh, it's flea collars. No, this absolutely tells the perfect story of how in bed these organizations are, our regulatory agencies are, with these companies.
Yeah. Peloton's being investigated by the Department of Justice and Homeland Security, interesting, over its problematic treadmill, which caused serious injuries and even death in a child. Meanwhile, the exercise equipment company also faces lawsuits over their product recalls. I have Stephen Longo joining me to talk about this. This story's been kicking around for a long time, you know? And we've done this story before, and for some reason, the folks, I guess, that don't have anything to do, that want to criticize everything that happens in a show like this, say, well, these are just stupid kids. They're, stupid. Blame it on the parents, blame it on the stupid kid. That's far from what's happening here, isn't it?
Absolutely. And what really set this investigation off with Peloton is that a 6-year-old was killed. That happened earlier this year in March of 2021. And then from that point, the Consumer Product Safety Commission got involved, started doing research as far as what is the design of this treadmill. The Peloton Treadmill Plus is really what the product is. And what they're finding is that the interlocking slats that they have are creating a dangerous situation as well as needing higher elevation in order for the treadmill to work properly. And that's what's causing pets and small children to be harmed and, unfortunately, death in one case. Yeah,
so what happens, we see it happen all the time, and it's important to understand what I'm about to say here. A company gets sued, or a regulatory agency comes after them and says, look, you're really doing something wrong. Most of the time, it's not regulatory agencies because most of the regulatory agencies don't operate properly at all. Most of them are totally dysfunctional. But the case comes in, and a lawyer brings a case. Now, what ends up happening is the company then goes to their lawyer, some big firm, you know, where there's a ton of silk stocking lawyers, thousands of silk stocking, corporate, white shoe lawyers, and they're told, whatever you do, say it ain't our fault. It's not our fault. And the reason they do that is because they get billable hours. If they can create a lawsuit by convincing that producer that it's not their fault, then they start making money. We see it all the time, don't we, Steve?
We have a similar timeline in this case. So we have the death of the 6-year-old in March. We have in April the Consumer Product Commission saying, your product is dangerous, telling Peloton to take it off the market. Immediately, their CFO, John Foley, comes out and makes a public statement saying, no, there's no reason to stop using our treadmill. It's perfectly fine. Continue to use it as is. And then a month later, they recall that statement and say, you know what? We were wrong, and we should have recalled the product a month ago.
Yeah, and we see it time and time again. I mean, we see it to where some big national law firm has to bill, $800 million a year just to keep their doors open. So they get a product like this. The first advice they get is deny, deny, deny. It's not your product that caused the injury. It's the stupidity of a parent. It's the stupidity of a child. It's not your problem. And that's exactly how this unfolded, didn't it? And then all of a sudden, they say, wow, you gave us some bad advice. That's my guess here of what happened, because we see it all the time.
You're not off. You're not wrong, and you're not far off, because now, because of the CEO coming out, making that statement, and them fighting the commission and delaying the recall of the product, they are under investigation by the SEC. That's what brought it back in the news, the filing on Friday. And then what was new was that the Department of Justice is investigating them, as well as what you mentioned earlier, the Homeland Security.
Yeah, okay, so the best advice that I give to a company like Peloton, I mean, sometimes we're asked to talk to these corporations saying, where are we screwing up? They screw up by going to these silk stocking law firms that have every interest in billable hours to perpetuate their business, to keep their doors open. So they get involved in this long-term litigation, ends up costing the company $1 billion just in the cost of hiring lawyers for them. And at the end of the day, they have to pay anyway. This is exactly what happened with Peloton. Peloton's a decent company. They make a good product. I mean, they really do. Less than 6% of the people that have the Peloton bike actually have this product.
Right.
So it's not that big of a hit for them. Thank you for joining me, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.